do.
Got it.
All right. All right, now we're recording. So, Javier, I really wanted to talk with you today about, your experience at Miami-Dade College, and then I'd like to put this video on YouTube for other students who I teach to just sort of learn from what you've done. So,
Yeah,
I just wanted to start with, what did you enjoy most about your classes at Miami-Dade College?
for sure. So I think Miami Dade College is a very diverse space, and I think what I enjoyed the most was seeing all sorts of backgrounds enter mostly computer science, what I studied. For example, in your class, we had athletes. I remember taking the first programming class. In it, we've had in it, which is basically the tech organization that we created, so the audience knows. Um, we had single parents join and want to prepare themselves for breaking into tech. When I gave conversations in your class, for example, I also had a ton of people reach out that were either like veterans, or just coming out of 2 years of a break from college, like taking gap years, and they finally are able to pursue their education again. So I think that's what makes MDC so special, and also just the Miami culture. It's a really big like community-oriented family, which I think that's what makes it like the best experience ever. And I don't even think like at Stanford or at any school that you go to, I think it's very hard to find that, which makes it very, very just a great experience. Yeah.
Oh, that is great. Now, some of the students who reached out to you after you spoke to my classes, what sort of questions did they have for you?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people, obviously the first question they think like, how do I get an internship? Like, you're so accomplished. I really want to, work at a big tech company. I think everyone really has uh that motivation and that drive that they really want to accomplish working at a big tech company. And my advice was always, I didn't start at a big tech company, I didn't start at Amazon. Luckily for me, I started programming very early on, but this applies to everyone. I think you have to start small. I think my first internship was at the city of Coral Gables as an IT person, and I worked
Mm.
completely for free. I know a lot of people also don't have the opportunity to work completely for free, and I was a high schooler, so it was okay with me. But I think nowadays, even if you're taking like a low salary or something like that, just build your experience. Even if it's again a very small company, an IT company, you're doing help desk stuff. If you're able to do a very good job in that place, and then at that same time practice internship, review problems, and kind of figure out how to break into tech while you're doing that job, I think it's the best thing ever. But really gain that experience because, no Amazon, no Google is going to take someone with nothing, just projects. I mean, it has happened, but it's just the very rare people that have like either a crazy project that they built and actually has like a lot of users, or people that do freelancing, stuff like that. But really build your resume, I think, and that takes time. I think that's what a lot of people might not understand. It takes a lot of time and a lot of luck too, I feel sometimes. You just have to sometimes get a bit lucky. People interview for the same position and sometimes get easier questions. So
That's
it's a lot
true.
of time. I've seen people do over like 1,000 applications and finally get their job after like 500 rejections. So
Yeah.
it's a lot
Yeah,
of
you're
trial and error.
you're exactly right. There is going to be rejection in this world, and
Oh yeah,
you
a
can't
ton.
take it personally.
Yeah, yeah. In the tech space, I think it's very competitive, obviously, but ton of rejection. Uh, but it's all about how you take it and just focusing on the small wins for sure.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm glad you brought up the knit because that's the next thing I wanted to ask you about. You did a lot of extracurricular things at Miami-Dade College. Can you talk
Yeah.
about some of them and what you really enjoyed?
Yeah, so luckily enough, I was fortunate to have that time to put into my extracurriculars and really develop and uh, further develop my passion really for teaching. I think that's something I figured out at MDC that I really enjoy teaching actually tech related things and really doing it with friends as well, building projects. It's been very, very, very amazing. But within it, really it just started out as an idea. When we first called it Cyber Sharks, now we scaled to in it. And we have a whole nonprofit supporting us, and we have a lot of mentorship now, and it's grown to be a club with over 60 registered members. So it's really cool, but it all started out as an idea. Like there wasn't any computer science club that was active at the time at the Kendall campus. So I really gathered a group of friends and we said, no, we're gonna change this. We're gonna go to programming competitions. We're gonna go to hackathons together. We're gonna help people gain a little bit of experience, at least through workshops, and have that sense of belonging and community, which is really important to have like as guidance and just as support in general. I think it's very natural, I think, when you see other people go through the same stages as yourself. Like maybe you get rejected to like a ton of internships, but if you see someone else go through that same process, then it makes you feel a little bit better. And then yeah, ultimately it's been great. But I say, to answer the question fully, extracurriculars I think is a great way to get involved, obviously, and a great way to also just meet new people that you don't know in what ways are going to help you in the future, and really so many, I don't know, experiences that you might not expect. Like at MDC, I didn't expect to study abroad, for example, for 2 weeks in Austria. I didn't expect to do undergraduate research and then teach at a correctional facility. So many things, but it all led up because I was basically just able to walk into those doors, right? And kind of find those people. So yeah.
So when you taught in the correctional facility, that was somebody at MDC who told you about that, or you made that up on your own?
Yeah, so it was kind of both. You see, it started off with a professor where he had a letter exchange program with incarcerated people. And I did that letter exchange program, and then I enjoyed it so much that I did it 4 semesters. And then I actually personally reached out to the nonprofit director that kind of handles that letter exchange program, which is called Exchange for Change. And you see, it's kind of like I think this is where I was ultimately leading. You find that one person, that one professor, and then you take your own motivation and you go the next step. And then from there, you create a very big opportunity like myself. Like I had that professor in place. I think like sometimes life just puts that professor into your life, and then you take that opportunity, you find another person, and they provide you with a really cool opportunity, which was teaching for me. So I think as long as you're motivated to like find the next step and the next journey, it's definitely there.
Oh, awesome, awesome. All right, I guess now I'd like to ask you a question about education. Looking forward, you're going to study computer science at Stanford. How do you
Yeah.
think computer programming or computer science education really needs to change with the rise of large language models? What are your thoughts on that?
So this morning I was kind of having a conversation with a board of trustees member from Miami Dade College, and they said, "Well, aren't you afraid that your job is going to get replaced by AI at some point?" And I mean, first of all, to that response, I think the programmers, unfortunately, if AI does start taking over jobs, well, programmers will probably be one of the last people for the jobs to get taken over. And secondly, I don't think large language models are at the point right now where they're capable to still perform at the level that a human can for certain jobs, and much less for education, to be honest, because um we're kind of talking about online classes earlier, and I think we're sociological creatures that learn from each other and learn from groups. It's something very interesting, and it's why I like kind of also like psychology education. And it's kind of that we learn from each other. Like, and this is also something I learned during my internship at Amazon. If you have like a very big knowledge base, it's not only that like you have one person that knows everything very well, but it's how well that person is able to spread the knowledge, right? And I think it's the same thing in a classroom. I think you're the professor and you're able to communicate to your students what the material that they're supposed to learn. And I think that's done very uh in a human way that has to be through like meaningful interactions, which AI is just never going to have that. I think it's great practice, it's great reinforcement. I use ChatGPT, um what's it called? GitHub Copilot all the time to recheck my code to see if there's a more efficient way of reproducing what I'm trying to solve. But I don't think it's ever going to be like taking over education, taking over professors, because like the conversation right now we're having and the connection that we forge is just never gonna happen with an AI.
Right, yeah,
Um,
it's definitely a
yeah,
different feeling when I talk to ChatGPT or a
yeah,
student I've
right.
known for so long. That's true.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I guess
So yeah.
I really am curious to know, did this trustee have any like knowledge of tech or not really too
No,
much?
I don't think so. I think, you know, mostly at Miami Dade College, I think administration and everyone is pushing the AI word a lot.
Yeah.
In my English class, we're talking about AI. In my math class, we're talking about AI. We're really in that AI bubble right now, like if we're the dot-com bubble, which is really cool to see.
True. Yeah, yeah, that's a
But
good analogy. I agree with
yeah, yeah, but I mean, there's so many things where even like people are lying about AI. We saw the Amazon scandal the other day of them saying that they're fully automated self-checkout stores that
Oh yeah.
they were using
Yeah.
AIs to actually check out, and it was people watching through cameras.
I
Then
know.
we have
I
that,
thought that was so funny. Yeah.
yeah. Then we have that Devin software engineer, which was a startup that basically said the software engineer could do everything. Um, and this company, this startup, was valued at over $50 million in the past of like just 1 year of operating. And turns out the video and the demo, they kind of faked it and they just cut things and they
I
edited it all together.
I showed that video to my
Yeah,
class and I said, "Look, we need to be afraid. We need to be afraid." But you're right. There's liars out
exactly.
there.
And it's confusing because you don't know either. I mean, if that scandal wouldn't have happened or that information wouldn't have revealed, I might as well believed it as well. I was like, oh wow, this software engineer is good. But also the software engineering positions, I think at Amazon, you know, there's a very high level tier of people, of individuals that are very well accomplished and that can code very efficiently, like like almost faster than ChatGPT. It's crazy. But what they struggle with isn't the coding part. Engineers struggle to write their technical documents, to write the computer architecture to solve those specific problems. And it's something that, for now at least, the eyes can't really visualize. Well, how do I connect this system with this system and make it all work together to accomplish the goal I want? It could code, ChatGPT could code pretty well, and but I think it lacks in the areas that are most important. And so for now, I think, it's just this whole big bubble of AI madness.
That's a really great analogy with the .com
Yeah,
bubble. Because that's when I
definitely.
was in college. Everybody was saying like,
Yeah,
yeah, you get. I'm sure you've read about it. Well,
yeah,
the
yeah.
last thing I wanted to ask you about are just any other thoughts about cyber sharks in it, or maybe some little advice for future students in the upcoming years, anything you'd like to pass along to them?
I think definitely take Professor Spear's class. That's a very good advice.
Thank
But
you.
I was talking about you at Stanford with two other students that were your previous students at the Stanford Hackathon this year. This was about, I feel like 7 months ago already. But one of them took you as an SES student, and the other one went from MDC to FIU. And coincidentally, they're both at Google right now.
That's
And they
awesome.
remember you as being one of the very instrumental teachers and foundational to their journey. And I think this also goes back to the idea that I said earlier about MDC being very diverse. I think you teach the class very well in the sense that anyone starting out is able to catch on. And if you have a little bit more experience, you could still make it fun and you could still progress and learn new things, which is what I love really. And I think that's great. And for other things, computer science is trial and error. It's just a lot of practice. And finally, I think for if you're planning on transferring to like big school, it's just a lot of work also, I think, which isn't talked about, well, that we haven't talked about too much. There's a lot of work on your essays, um, definitely a lot of work on your extracurriculars. And I feel like, again, if you take that kind of formula that I said of like meeting someone and going beyond uh, that kind of relationship and finding what opportunities you could branch off to, that everyone will do great for sure. And that MDC is a great college. Really, I think it's provided me with so many opportunities, and a lot of people, I think, oh, or it used to be a community college, but it has a ton of resources. You just have to kind of make the best out of it and make sure you find those resources, and you'll see there's an abundance
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much, and I wish you the best of luck.
for
So,
sure.
bye bye.
Thank you. We'll keep in touch.
All right, so I stopped the